So let's first go to the progress of every one of you. Let's see where you're standing. So let me first start with the some of the participants who are doing really well. So we have Anuradha. So Anuradha has completed some of the courses and have gained nearly 3,000 points. And then we have Irmak. I think she's close to 5,000 points and she has completed introduction to the bioinformatics and genomics courses. And then we have Glory. So she's close to 2,000 points. And then we have Devyani. I think she's performing excellently and she's already crossed 6,000 points and completed transcriptomics 1, introduction to the bioinformatics, then the genomics and introduction to the genomics courses. And who have yet not started these courses, I just say, so you can complete these courses as soon as possible. So I think you have more 15 days more to complete all these courses. And we have Clever. I think he yet not started his courses. So although he has completed his profile, so I'm just asking Clever if you can complete your start your doing completing these courses and start doing these exercises, coding exercises, as well as the exercises that we have different assignments for the main server. So now let's move to our session. So in today's sessions, we will learn about various performance measures of classification machine learning techniques. Then we will get an overview of feature selection. Next, we will do hands-on on PCA to see how feature selection affect the performance of these machine learning prediction models. And then we will also run random forest in the R. And next we will see how machine learning affected the performance in terms of accuracy and the ROC. So before moving into today's session, let's review what we have learned in our last session. So in the last session, we started our session with a demonstration of hierarchical clustering in the R. Then we get an overview of supervised machine learning. Next, we learned about training and the testing data and try to understand the differences between training and the testing data. As we have observed that in the training data set, we have a special rows which contain labels or the class of the samples, while test data set lacks that. Then we learned about different types of supervised machine learning like classification and the regression. Then we also understand of different supervised machine learning algorithms like decision tree, random forest, SVM, LDA, and logistic regression. Next, we get an overview of decision tree, which is one of the supervised machine learning algorithm. Then we also learned about the random forest, which is one of very well-known supervised machine learning algorithm. And then we have also demonstrated to you how we can perform supervised machine learning on T-Bioinfo platform. Then we will also get an overview of feature selection techniques. So let me ask few questions from the last sessions and see how much you have understand. So which of following is supervised machine learning algorithm? PCA, t-test, hierarchical clustering, and random forest. So post your answers in the chat box. So which of these algorithm is a supervised machine learning algorithm? PCA, t-test, hierarchical clustering, or random forest? So So Anita, you are absolutely correct. It is random forest. Sujana, hierarchical clustering is unsupervised machine learning algorithm. Then the next question, training and test data sets are vital for the supervised machine learning algorithm, whether it's true or false. Sujana, Glory, Clever, and Anita, you are absolutely correct, and this statement is true. As for the supervised machine learning algorithms, we require training and the test data sets. Training data set is used for the training training a model or to build a model, while test data, which is finally where we predict the performance of our machine learning algorithm. The next question, which of following supervised ML method is also vital for feature selection? Option A, SVM, B, random forest, C, stepwise LDA, and D, there are more than one option are true. So which of following supervised machine learning algorithm is vital for the feature selection? Option A, SVM, random forest, stepwise LDA, and more than one options are true. Sujana is saying B and A. So anyone else, which algorithm has a feature selection capability? So Sujana, option B is true, but not A. So it is, the option D should be true. It's random forest and stepwise LDA, which are also used for, even the option D is true because more than one options are true. So let's move to the next questions. So dendrogram is sort of output of following method. It's a k-mean clustering, t-test, principal component analysis, or hierarchical clustering. Anyone else apart from Sujana or Neeta? Yes, both of you are correct. It's dendrogram is output of hierarchical clustering, which is unsupervised machine learning algorithm. So now let's begin with today's session. So last time we were talking about supervised machine learning algorithm. Now let's learn about various performance measures that are used to assess the performance of a supervised classifier or supervised classification prediction model. So the first of all, as last time, if you remember, we run random forest. So in the random forest, we get a confusion matrix, something like this. So which is highlighted in the dots. So what is a confusion matrix? It is a table that is often used to describe the performance of a classification model on a set of training and test data for which the true values are known. So as what this confusion matrix represent, so here as we were talking even the last session, that in the rows, the first column, here we have actual labels. Actual labels means actual class or as actual class of the samples. Then we have in the rows, the second column onward, we have the predicted class. Just consider that we have two kind of classes. Here I'm just giving the name as positive and the negative. Suppose positive samples are cancer samples and negative samples are the normal samples, which is non-cancerous. So what are these values represent? So as we last time we were talking about that our in that here if we look at this particular, so if a sample is positive or a cancer in actual, it is also predicted as positive, so that those values are known as true positive. So you need to understand these terms, what are true positive, true negative. So if a sample is suppose a cancer, it is also predicted as cancerous, so what we call that sample is true positive. or true positive values. So then if you have a sample, suppose it is a positive sample actual, but it is predicted as negative sample, so then we called as false negative. As its name indicated, false, it means it is not actually negative, but it is predicted as negative. And these false negative values are also known as type 2 errors. So then we have, if a negative sample is predicted as positive sample, so then those samples are called as false positive. So like we have a cancer sample which was we have a normal sample which is actually predicted as cancer sample, so we call that those as false positive samples, and those false positive samples are also known as type 1 error. So then we have a true negative. So as its name indicated, negative. So this sample was actually negative and it is also predicted as negative. So whenever you looking at a matrix, so in the diagonal you will always find the correctly predicted value. So what are these other terms? So whenever you going through any machine learning algorithms, so there are few very important terminology is used. One is sensitivity, what it represent. So if you look at this formula, it is true positive divided by true positive plus false negative. So what it representing? It measures the proportion of positive samples that are correctly identified. So the sensitivity measures is actually test correctly generate a positive result for the people who have that particular condition. As here we are talking about like a cancerous conditions. So this is sensitivity is also known as true positive rate and recall. So these are the same terms which is used for the similar thing, just a different terms: sensitivity, recall, and the true positive rate. So then we have a specificity. So what it represents? So if you look at this equation, so it indicated proportion or ratio of the true negative divided by true negative plus false positive. So what it indicate? That it measure the proportion of the negative samples that are correctly identified. So specificity measures a test ability to correctly generate a negative result for people who don't have that condition. So if we have a normal samples, so how many normal samples in terms of the proportion that are correctly predicted? So that is known as specificity. So then what is the accuracy? So the accuracy is actually the proportion of the observation that are overall correctly predicted, despite whether it's the positive class or the negative class. So when I'm talking about a positive class, so it's like if I'm just analyzing the samples, that whether the samples are cancerous or the normal. Even apart from that, you can suppose you are analyzing a condition like early stage or the late stage sample. So you're considering your positive samples as early stage in the class that you are interested, or in the sample type that you are interested. So these are the terminology you always remember whenever you going through or learning through supervised machine learning algorithm. So usually these sensitivity, specificity, and accuracy is also measured in terms of the percentage. So it is sometimes it is in terms of the proportion, sometimes it is represented in terms of the percentage. Besides, the other terms are the precision and negative predictive value. So this is clear to every one of you? This is clear to you? So these terminology and yes, positive predictive value. Yes, Anita, you are absolutely correct. Precision is, if you look at this, so it is the proportion of the actually positive, true positive values. So it is we called as positive predictive values. So if it clear to you, let's move ahead. So the another important parameters that is uh, used to assess the performance of a supervised machine learning algorithms, that is ROC curve. So what is an ROC curve? So it is receiver operating characteristics curve. What it represent? So it is a graphical summary of overall performance of the models. So if you look at this plot, so this is what is we called it ROC curve. So it is the curve between sensitivity and the specificity at each of the threshold values. So whenever you're talking about like accuracy, suppose the problem with accuracy is when if your classes are imbalanced. Suppose you have total 100 samples, so total 100 samples, out of which 90 are cancers or 10 are normal samples. So suppose your all the samples are correctly all the cancer samples are correctly predicted, while all the negative samples, suppose normal samples, are incorrectly predicted. So if out of 190 samples are correctly predicted, so how much accuracy that you will achieve? So if you have total 100 samples, so out of which 90 samples are cancerous and 10 samples are normal. So if I'm just asking, all the cancer samples are correctly predicted and all the normal samples are incorrectly predicted. So how much accuracy that you will achieve in this particular condition? Yes. So Glory, you are absolutely correct. It is 90%. It looks like that our model is very well, right? So it looks like our model is perfect model. It's giving us 90% accuracy. But if you're talking about in terms of specificity, you have 0% specificity. So whether your classification model is good, so answer is not. So whenever you're developing any classification prediction model, so always make sure that your sensitivity as well as specificity should be in a reasonable range. So in literature, people usually, if you consider a good model, so they always take that threshold values. So where sensitivity and specificity should be in a balance. So if even if not a balance, so it should be, their difference should not be more than 10%, 10% or 15%. So we always call in, specifically if you're talking about in a biomedical data, so you always consider sensitivity, specificity, then and accuracy. So you always consider the balance. There must be the balance between sensitivity and specificity. So the best parameter that can represent both sensitivity and specificity, that is actually ROC curve. So ROC curve is actually the curve between sensitivity, or we call it a true positive rate, and against the specificity. So the another advantage of the ROC curve, so it will compute the values of your sensitivity and specificity at each of these thresholds. So you have the probability values whenever you get any output from the machine learning algorithm. So you will get in the probabilities value. So it is like from 0 to 1. So it will compute the performance of sensitivity and specificity at each of these thresholds. So it represents the proportion of the true positive and false positive at all the possible values of probability cutoff. And the another important term, it is always a one or the same thing, that is AUC. So what is AUC? Is area under this ROC curve. So that is what it summarizes the overall performance of a classifier. So area under this curve is actually called AUC. Sometimes if you're going through some publication, research publication, so sometimes some people use the ROC term, sometimes they use the AUROC or AUC. So this is the one or same thing. So it is clear to every one of you why ROC is important. So is it clear to you? Anita, Glory, that's great. So let's move ahead. So the last time we get an overview regarding the feature selection. So feature selection is always considered a very important aspect, specifically if you're dealing with the machine learning. So the feature selection is a process of reducing the number of input variables when you're developing a predictive model. So why we need it? So it is desirable to reduce the number of input variables to both one, to reduce the computational cost, and the second, you want to improve the performance of your model. So as we know, in our gene expression data, we could have 20,000 genes or more than that. So it requires a lot of computational power even to develop a prediction model. So the first aim is to reduce that computational power. But with the one more important factor that is also considered, that is your performance should be good enough finally. So we always, during the feature selection, we select only relevant features that can that can describe our data in a better way. So what are different feature selection approaches, like filter based feature selection approach? So in the filter based feature selection approach, what it does, it use statistical measure to score the correlation or the dependence between input variable that can be filtered to choose the most relevant features only. Then the next is wrapper feature selection method. So what it does, it creates many models with different subset of input features and select those features that result in the best performing model according to the performance matrix. So the major problem with the wrapper feature selection method is that it requires lot of computational, it is computationally very expensive. So like it always take multiple start taking adding the features, and if it is doing it forward feature selection method. So if it is backward feature selection method, it start within all the 20,000, then it eliminate feature one by one. So that's why it is very expensive method. So the third one is intrinsic feature selection method. So as we have already talked in our last session, that random forest is one of the algorithm that, apart from generating a prediction model, it also rank the features based on the performance. So when a machine learning algorithm that perform feature selection automatically as a part of the prediction model development, we call those such algorithms as intrinsic feature selection method. So the intrinsic feature selection method could be stepwise LDA and the random forest. These are two examples that you will these two algorithms for the feature selection whenever you're running any supervised machine learning algorithm, specifically on T-Info platform, you will get these two methods, random forest as well as stepwise LDA. So now let's understand the difference between feature extraction versus feature selection. So the feature extraction methods are also called as dimensionality reduction methods. So can anybody give me an example of a dimensionality reduction or the feature extraction method? So Glory is saying PCA. So anyone else? Do you remember any feature extraction or dimensionality reduction method that we have learned in this program, during this program? Glory, you are absolutely correct, PCA. So what is the difference between a feature selection and feature extraction? So let's understand that. So the feature selection methods are also called feature filtration. So in a feature selection method, we select a subset of our features from the original set of the features, which are the best representative of the data. While in case of the feature extraction, we build a new set of the features from the original feature set. So especially in case of the feature extraction, you cannot understand which, suppose you are performing PCA on a gene expression data. So even if you got those component, PC component 1, PC component 2, or PC component 3, so you cannot interpret in the first PC component contain which kind of genes. So it is difficult to even understand exactly in these components which genes are it representing. While in case of the feature selection, we are not actually giving or generating new features. We are just selecting some important features that are actually highly correlated with the label of the eventually the label of the our analysis. Like we want to understand the differences between cancer versus normal condition or early versus late condition. So it's like we are trying to get only those features that can discriminate these two classes. So the next difference, so in case of the feature selection, it removes all the features with the low variance and also those features that are highly correlated with each other. Suppose you have finally you got like if you are performing any analysis like cancer versus normal condition, you want to discriminate these two classes and you find like you get 200 genes. So the 200 genes that are highly correlated with your classification problem. So the another point that feature selection will going to do, that it will try to find whether these features are correlated with each other or not. So if the features are correlated with each other, so it will always keep only that out of suppose your 20 features are correlated with each other, as well as they are correlated with your particular classification criteria. So it will take consider only one feature out of those 20. So it will remove both feature with the low variance as well as which are highly correlated with each other. While in case of feature extraction, it involves a transformation of the features which often is not reversible because some information is lost in the process of dimensionality reduction. So you cannot go back and you find like suppose in your PC component how many you cannot produce the those features back, like you don't know from which features this particular component generated. So this is the major difference. While in case of feature selection, you always know which features you able to get and which are actually highly correlated. You can find all those stats between all these features. Then in case of the classification problem, we select the features that will help us to classify data, our data in a better way. While in case of the dimensionality reduction, it is a generic, so it only depends on the data, not on what you are actually planned to do with it. So it is just project your data into the lower dimensionality space. So it could be if you are generating 2 components, if you're generating a 5 components, or if you are generating a 3 components. So it does not represent exactly what condition that you are going to analyze. So the example of the feature selection, 2 of the example that is are also available on our TIBA-Info platform, that is random forest and stepwise LDA. In case of the feature extraction or dimensionality reduction, we have principal component analysis or the PCA components. So it is clear to every one of you what is the difference between a feature extraction and a feature selection. So although we both of those terms are come under the feature reduction. That's great, Susanna. So it is clear to every one of you apart from Susanna. So now what is the main advantage of feature reduction, feature selection or the feature reduction? That's great, Glory and Susanna. So the main point, as I have already told you, the purpose of feature selection is like one, to reduce the computational power. The second, to enhance the here we don't want to select those unrelevant features. They just increasing the computational power, but they are not contribute anything to your accuracy or your classification problem. So although they are not contributing to that, so now let's see and perform. Let's go to our Codeomics logic platform and let's run PCA with the data having the selected features and the data which contain all the features like nearly 7,000 features. So now let's go over to our Codeomics logic platform And meanwhile, let me share with you the data set that we are going to use here. So this is the first data. Yes, Sujana, SVD is another method, which is also the feature extraction method. So the first data set that we are going to use here, we have nearly 7,000 genes. So in the if look at this data, we have in the first column, we have ID of the samples, then we have group. So group means here we have a cell line, breast cancer cell line data, where we have four types of samples, like Claudin samples, Claudin low, luminal samples. So then we have normal like samples. So then in the other columns, we have genes. So now let's run PCA. So just go over the courses. So here we are going to see how this feature selection work. Even if you want to run a clustering, if you want to run a PCA, or if you want to run. So I am just first taking a simple example with PCA. So let's go to the courses introduction to the data science. Then we have dimensionality reduction, the third lesson. So once you are there, just let me know how many of you able to log into this Codeomics Logic platform. Sujana, Glory, that's great. So anyone else who is on this server in this particular third lesson? Emeka, that's great. So, okay. So as you have already run PCA, so I'm not going to run a normal PCA. So here we are going to run the PCA directly to the third example. So if you go to this PCA plot with the groups. So meanwhile, let me just open our playground as well. So here we need two libraries. So now let's load a data. So do you remember with which command we can, your screen is not moving. Okay, sorry. So let me share this again. So is it visible right now? Is it visible? Okay, so let me just go over there. Here we have a third lesson, that is PCA visualization. Let me go over again. So under the courses, here we go to the introduction to the data science. Then here we have a lesson that is dimensionality reduction, that is third lesson. So under the third lesson, let's complete these steps, and you already might have gone through these lessons. So I'm not focusing on these explanations. So once you complete it, then you will understand the analysis. So here in the first plot, as already you know that we are running a simple PCA plot, and then we are also producing this table. So I am going to the third part, which is PCA plot with the groups. So I'm going to run this code on a data which have nearly 7,000 features, and on a data that have selected features. As last time we run random forest, from which we have taken the top 15 features in our data. So here, first of all, how we read a data in the R? Anybody remember? With which command we can read our data in R? Yes, you are absolutely correct. Read with the read dot table, we can read our data. So here I'm going to paste the URL. Before that, I'm just defining header equal to true. Then we have separator, that is tab separated file. Then we have row names in the, as I have already shown you. Then if you look at this data, specifically in the second column, so we are defined this is the header and the first row as the column. So then we have to define as well. So in the R specifically, R analyze your data on more or less on numeric value. So in this second column, if you look at this data, so here we are providing the class of the sample. So like, okay. So non-malignant, like here the first class. So similarly, we are defining class of each and every sample. It is luminal or normal like or non-malignant. So we are defining all these classes in the second column. So what I have to do here, so I have to define that string as factors are true. So I am just copying this as string as factors are true. So now how we can check whether our data get loaded or not? Does anybody remember? Yes, with the dim command or one way is, sorry, here I have to provide the URL of the data. So with the dim command, we can check the dimensions. Now let's check the dimension of this particular data. Yes, data will, the only data when we were right, it will print your whole data. So as I just don't want to do that, so I'm just checking the dimension. So here I know that in my data, I have 48 rows, means 48 samples, and this much nearly 6,900 genes. So the next is, as we know in our data, the second column contain the groups. So the next is data 1. So here I have to consider only, I have to skip the first row. So eventually in the first row, the data that I have obtained, I have the groups. So to plot any graph, can we look at the parameter you included? Okay, yes, I have just, okay, let me just, apart from the file, so let me just copy these parameters here in the chat. So I have just defined header equal to true, separator, that is tab separated, then row names equal to 1, then string as factor only true. So as why I use this string as factors? So as I know in the second column specifically, we have not integer values. So that's why we have defined this in string as factors true. So, so this is read dot table. I just copy these parameters to read a file. So then I have checked the dimension. So I have already told you in the the first column. Now what we left with, specifically in the first column we have that group. So the classes of the sample. So if I want to plot any graph, so I cannot plot. So then I have to consider till the 6917 column. So if you look at this dimension, here the first thing it represents is the number of the rows, and the second part what it represents the column. So I know that here we have 6917 column. So what I'm doing, I'm removing here only the group. So I'm just removing groups. So let me just make it file bit bigger. Okay, so here I'm just defining this, removing the group. So that's why I'm taking from the second column till the last column. So now I can check my dimensions whether whether this particular column get removed or not. So with the data underscore 1. So now let me check the dimension. So now as I have removed one column, so finally I should left with, if you look at, we have again the 48 rows. As one column get removed, so 6916 columns are left. So the next, to run a PCA, what we need to do? So let me define a function PCA comp1 with full. So what I'm with the full, what I mean, so with the PCA component which have the all the gene expression, all the gene value. So here one command, that is PRC comp, then I have to define data 1. So with PRC comp, so with PRC comp, what we are going to do, that we are going to generate PCA components, and I am storing those PCA component into the object, that is PCA comp full. So then how we can plot a PCA component? So here auto plot. So just let me copy this PCA components. So if you run this code here, so if you look at this plot, all the samples are black colored and we don't know which sample belong to which class. So how we can define different and how we can provide the color to a sample according to the group or the class of the sample. So what we can do, so where I in these objects where I have the groups. So if you look at this data 1 or PCA comp, so where I have the groups value, groups or the class of the sample. Can anybody tell me? So as I have already told you, initially we have class of the sample or the group of the sample. So where it was at initially. No, we need not to do log transformation, as this data is already transformed data. So otherwise, if you are otherwise, if you have all the data which is not normalized, as I have already initially told you, that whenever you're running any kind of analysis, specifically even if you're running t-test or performing PCA, or you performing any supervised machine learning algorithm, whether it's or unsupervised machine learning algorithm, so your data should be normal. So this data is already normally log transformed. So here the data set that I am providing, it is we have already log transformed this data. So here I have to, as I have already told you, that the initial data we have the groups name. So if I want to obtain the group names from the sample, so I am just providing, you just consider data as data. Then I have to define the color. So in the color, I have to define where were the how my these samples should be colored. So they must be colored based on the category that it belongs or the group. So here in the initially, if you look at this data, here the name that we provided for the class of the samples was group. So that's why here I am just defining color equal to the group. So now if you run this plot, so if you look at this plot now, so here we have the group. So it is like red color indicated the basal classes, and then we have light green colors with the luminal class, then we have a blue color non-malignant. So this is how you can color your sample. So then apart from the coloring, we can also add frame. So I'm just doing going one step ahead. So I'm just copying it. So now I just want to draw a frame around these. So frame with the frame. So what we will get, frame is equal to true, and frame type. So you just define color. I mean, that is, you just define this. Sorry, small c, small c. So it's OUR if you use that. So then let me know, Anita. So frame type is norm. Frame dot type. Now let me run that. So if you look at this now, so it creates the frames around each class of these samples. So this is how you can run a PCA. So here, if you what we are doing here, we are running PCA on a full data. Now let's run this code on a data. Let me just provide you that we have where we have selected the features. So here we have selected 15 features. Let me share this data with you. So here we have top 15 features. So now let's run and compare our results after the feature selection. So I am just writing the same code here, only I'm just defining data new. So here I'm going to provide read dot table. So here I have to define separator. So separator is tab separated. Then we have a header equal to true. Then we have row names, that is 1. Then we are defining string as factors equal to true. And here I have to post my URL for the sample. So now let's check the dimension of this data. Data underscore new. So let's, dimensions, data underscore new. So here we have actually only 15 genes, 16 one is column, and 52 samples. I have just included two. I have deleted by mistake 4 samples from initial data. But here we have 52 samples and 15 genes with one group as a group. So now the next is data. Next, what we have to do, data new. Here we have to remove the group again. So here we want to remove the group. So we can remove the group. We have to take our data from the second column onward. So data new 1. So how I can do that? The data new. Then I have to define from which column I just want to extract. The total columns I have 16. So then we can generate PCA component selected feature. So I'm just using cell. here, just giving a new object. So with the if you remember, with the PRC comp, so then we have to draw auto plot. We want to draw PCA plot, that we can do with the help of auto plot. Then we have to provide where we have stored our PCA components for this data set. Then we have to define data equal to the initial data that we have, data new. So where our groups names are still available. So then we want to color it, color equal to group. Then we also want to draw the frame. So frame is equal to true. Then we want to produce, we have a deciding frame dot type. So here I'm selecting the type no. So now let's run with the PCA, same PCA with the only a selected data sets. Now look at the, if you have saved the initial file, so now let's look at this file. So if you look at here, it is even with these 15 features, we have even a better plot. So here classes are clearly separated from each other. And the advantage here, we have a minimum number of the features, so computational power is also reduced. So this is how you can even run clustering after selecting the features, or you can run PCA after selecting only important features instead of whole data. So you can compare, and you can select features by different methods, and you can compare which features are actually more important and clearly separating your data. So it is clear to every one of you. So are you able to run PCA with the minimum number, the selected features? So how many of you able to produce PCA plot with the selected features? So just post yes or no. How many of you able to produce PCA plot with the selected features as well as with the full features? Features, when I'm talking about the features, in here I'm saying in terms of genes. So what's the, even if not able to produce, can anybody tell me what issue that you are getting here? So you have to run the same code, only I'm just defining the name, different name and the different data. Only what I have changed, instead of the data, I just provided the name data new. So you can run the same code only by adding, like it's here, you have to change the object. So that's great, Susanna. So the next difference, when you are producing or removing your groups. So from here, I'm just let me, so I'm just taking, as I know in my new data, I have maximum 16 column. So I'm starting, I'm extracting my second from the second column till the 16 column. So that's why I was checking the dimensions. So once you run that, selected and remove your groups and able to store into a new object. So then with this new object, we again generated a PCA component with simple command, that is PRC comp. So then we have to just define again similar. So here to generate our autoplot, we are just producing, first we providing object which contain PCA component. Then as I just wanted the original data which have the already have the group value, so group name, so that was my first data which I loaded. So the data equal to data new. So this is the ensemble ID. So in the Clever, these are the ensemble ID, so for each of these genes. Is it clear to you? So these are ensemble IDs of the genes. So as our data from where we are producing, we have ensemble IDs. So you can always map these ensemble IDs with the gene names or gene IDs. So then we are just defining the color. I know here I wanted to color my sample based on the class or the group of the sample. So then I'm just producing the frame. Even if you don't want to produce these frame, you can ignore. So here I just want to check or to make it more visible. That's why I'm just producing the frame around all these samples. So it is clear to every one of you. So how many of you able to run this code or able to produce PCA plot with all the features? Okay, Glory. The problem that you are facing because you might not remove you have not yet not removed your samples, sorry, groups. So the step that I have performed here, have you performed this as well? So once you load your data, then you have to remove the first column. So for example, here I'm showing this to you. So in the data new, actually I have loaded my data. So let me just make it, sorry. So here I have just loaded my data and check the dimension. Then I have removed the groups. I have removed the groups that the first column that if I look show you here. So this is the first row names we are already defining. So the second column is actually the group. Group is actually, if you look at these groups, so let me just even show you here. We can also directly check what is the group. So if you go to this, so as in we know that in the data new, so the group value is actually in the second column, first column. So if you look at, and I'm just heading it, doing head. Sorry, I guess I just want to some.
Hi, Dr. Harpreet. Would it be possible
Yes.
for us to shift to a new Zoom ID? I can share it with everyone because I think Ilya
Okay.
may be wanting to use
Okay.
this one. I'm
Okay.
very
Okay.
sorry, everyone. Can we quickly shift to a new one? I will stop the
Okay.
recording here and we can pick it up from there. So I'm just sharing the other ID in the chat box. I'm very sorry about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we everyone just okay. Let's catch up.
Yeah. Just give me 1 minute. Everybody can we all join this Zoom ID? I will just start it in 1 minute, and I'll pause the recording. Thank you so much for understanding.
And also provided the ID. I mean that's passcode.